And already I feel pretty sorry for this car. You see, the small family hatchback market is shrinking as people are ditching them in favour of more stylish SUVs. And not only has this thing got to compete with the likes of the Volkswagen Golf and Ford Focus, it's also got to convince people that it's good enough and offers decent enough value for money that it's not worth spending the extra on something posh like an Audi A3. Poor thing.
Due to the harsh reality of economics, if it's to succeed, the new i30 needs to be right up there with the very best in class in several key areas. So, how does it measure up to the competition?
The old i30 tried to carve its own niche with a quirky design. This one though, it can't alienate people. It needs to play things safe, but it needs to look classy. Hence all the chrome.
This is exactly what Peugeot did with the 308. So, is it a coincidence this Hyundai looks quite similar to the French car from certain angles?
And is it merely a coincidence that this grille looks rather Audi-ish when the chap who's in charge of the design of this i30 was also the guy behind the original Audi TT? You know, I'm just saying, just putting it out there, let you guys decide. Maybe discuss it in the comments box below.
Inside, Hyundai has tried a similar approach. Make it classy, but not complicated. Just like a Volkswagen Golf. So, how exactly do you do that?
For starters, you've got to have lots of soft touch materials about the place. So let's just check. Yep, here on the top of the door trims, that's soft. Soft down here as well. Top of the dash, nice and squidgy. Unfortunately, this bit of plastic is brittle, hard and very cheap feeling. And it's a bit of a shame that Hyundai didn't fit some of this nice shiny gloss trim up there as well, because that would look really, really smart. Also, if you're going to be like the Golf, you need to have damped controls. So everything should feel solid and lovely to use. So yeah, that's nice and damped. Let's just check the glove box. Go on, Hyundai, what's it going to be like? Yes, that's damped, that's good. And this damped? That's nicely damped as well. Now, another thing that the Golf does to make your life a little bit easier is to line its cupboards with various materials to stop things rattling. Let's have a look on this Hyundai. So yes, look, we've got a little rubberized pad in there where I can put my mobile phone so it doesn't slide around. And this one's actually got wireless charging. Let's have a look in here. Yeah, we've got rubber pads in there. And in here, we've got a little felt pad. That's quite good. Unfortunately, they don't go the whole hog like in the Golf, so that's all plasticky, so that'll rattle, as you can probably hear. And the door bins on a Golf are lined with felt, not here, so yes, things will rattle in the door pocket. At least, like with the Golf, the door pockets are large, so it is reasonably practical here in the cabin.
Everyone is tech savvy these days, and so it's important the i30 is too.
As standard, the i30 has a 5-inch touchscreen, but let's be honest, 5 inches is a little bit on the small side. So you'll want to upgrade to an SE nav model because it then gets an 8-inch touchscreen and it comes fully equipped as well. You've got Apple CarPlay, you've got Android Auto, it's got its own sat-nav system with live updates, and that has 7-year subscription to live updates as well, which is quite handy. The only problem with it though is this. Look, I mean, look at the size of the bezel. It's absolutely massive. Now, I admit that it does mean that you can house some physical shortcut buttons, which is good, but the rest of it, I mean, look at it, it's unnecessarily large.
Also, Hyundai could have used a higher definition display with better graphics. Still, the system itself is pretty easy to use with simple menus and fast responses. And overall, the i30 has sufficient tech, including that to keep you safe.
Right across the entire range, you get auto emergency braking. You also get lane departure warning, which I'll activate now by randomly weaving across the white line, and then you get that noise, which sounds a bit like the sound you used to get from an old video game in the 1980s. The car will automatically steer you back in track slightly, so you're not weaving about all over the place. And you also get high beam assist, so you don't dazzle drivers at night with high beam. And this car also has attention assist, so you can spot if you're falling asleep behind the wheel depending on how you're driving, and you can actually look at your attention level. And mine is apparently high, even though I've just been weaving around the place. Now, if you go for a high-spec car, they add to that blind spot monitoring and cross traffic alerts, and that can tell if you're about to reverse out of a junction into oncoming traffic. So yeah, this new i30 is on the ball in terms of safety kit.
As for the driving experience itself, well, Hyundai are trying to pull a Vauxhall Astra. That is, create a happy midpoint between the comfort of a Volkswagen Golf and the fun of a Ford Focus.
So this new i30 has a stiffer chassis than the old car. It also has sharper steering, and yes, you do notice that. For instance, the old car, it was all just like wishy-washy when you drove it. This one is sharper. And like a Ford Focus, it's got fully independent suspension, so it handles well, yet it's also very comfortable. And yeah, goes about its business extremely well. It's not particularly setting my heart on fire, but then it doesn't really need to, does it? And then there's the comfort factor in terms of quietness. So when you're cruising on the motorway, it's quiet enough. You do get a bit of wind whistle up there and a touch of tyre roar, but once again, it's kind of there with the best in class for comfort. And I think they've done a nice job with this car. Not particularly exciting, but then you don't expect it to be, do you?
Sadly, the engine range isn't quite as wide as you get with some rival cars. In the UK, there's a 1.6 litre diesel capable of 74 miles per gallon and a 1 litre or 1.4 litre turbo petrol.
The engine in this car is the 1.4 litre turbo petrol. I've got 140 horsepower. I can put it into sports mode. I've actually got the dual clutch 7-speed automatic gearbox. I'm going to whack that into manual, take control of the system using these paddles, and I'm going to give this car a bit of a thrape because I'm going to slow down. There's no one really behind me. There we go, let's get into first, and I'm going to floor it and see if it feels punchy. A gear change is pretty fast. And yeah, that's 60. It goes well enough.
Hyundai says this engine and gearbox combination should be capable of 0 to 60 in around 9 seconds and be able to return about 51 miles per gallon. Unfortunately, I averaged just 34 miles per gallon. Oh.
When it comes to practicality, the benchmark for this class is the Skoda Octavia. Now, yeah, this i30 isn't as big or roomy in the back as the Skoda, but I've still got enough knee room, headroom is generous, and it's easy to get comfy as well. Plus, look, it's got a ski hatch. So that's nice and useful.
The boot isn't as big as the Skoda Octavia's either, but it's still slightly above average for the class. And with the seats folded, raising the false floor creates a continuous low bay and minimises the load lip.
Then there's reliability. You see, this Hyundai i30 needs to offer people the same kind of peace of mind as you get with something like a Toyota Auris, and that's why it has a similar 5-year warranty.
So overall, the i30 is a decent all-rounder that gets close to key rivals in many areas. But this doesn't set it apart. The car has no unique selling point. And while car buying is an emotional purchase, the i30 feels a little bit like a white good. It's no more exciting than buying something like a washing machine. So why bother?
Well, it all comes down to basic Hyundai economics. You see, this new i30 is slightly more expensive than its predecessor, but it is a noticeable improvement. And when you compare it like for like against its key rivals, it costs less and you get more kit with it. Now, the range actually kicks off at £17,000, but if you click up there to go to carwow.co.uk, you can compare offers from dealers and save an average of £3,600 on a new car through CarWow.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it and subscribe to our channel. And if you click on the video windows, you can watch our review of the Volkswagen Golf and the Vauxhall Astra.